Welcome back to the channel. Today we're racing again. So we've got two cabins to build. Here's Ben's and there's mine. The cabins are on a pallet just around the corner. You can probably see them actually in the background. Me and Ben have previously had a race where my cabin was a little bit bigger than his, but with my experience I still thought I'd beat him, but he just picked me to the post and he looked proper smug about it. But this time he's not going to be so smug because I'm going to beat him 100%. No doubt in my mind about it. The only advantage he has is a bit of a quicker and better filmmaker than I am. So if you do want to see his version of this race, it'll be on his channel, and I'll put the link to his channel in the description. Without further ado, let's go and get the cabin pallets opened and start bringing some timber around because the clock is ticking.
First up, we need to cut these bands off of the pallet, get it unwrapped and try not to do what I'm about to do. A little bit of homage paid there to Homer Simpson, but anyway, unwrap the pallet and I'm going to get my foundation bearers pulled out, located, took over to the base, laid down, and I'm going to get them all sorted out, ready to be screwed together. I'm screwing them together with 4-inch screws, of which Ben, on my watch, is not having any of. This is the first of many selfish acts in this race, so buckle up, because Ben will get his own back.
Where's the 4-inch screw?
I don't know.
With my perimeter frame screwed together, I decided to nip for a wee, which is when Ben decided to take his revenge and steal one of my floor bearers.
You sneaky little sausage.
Two grown men acting like school children. Anyway, I'm going to get my floor bearers screwed together, then I'm going to go over to the pallet and I'm going to get the half pieces, what these are called. They start off the building. I'm going to get them all laid out, screwed down, and I can start bringing some logs in.
With the first ring of timber screwed down, we decided to call a ceasefire because we needed each other's help at this point. That was until Ben decided to karate chop a screw, which is not a good idea, especially when it's sticking out the bottom of my base 2 or 3 millimeters. This is ready for the membrane to go down, so we've got no insulation touching the concrete. After returning the favour briefly, I went over and started to get my membrane tacked onto the bottom of my base and trimmed off with a Stanley knife. Ready for Ben to return and give me a hand again, flipping mine back over so we can resume the race.
So we've now got both of our bases prepared and done. Look at him steaming ahead while I'm filming my video. That's nice for a minute. We're steaming ahead. We had to help each other in that clip because I can't lift and flip that whole thing on my own and he can't do it either. So it's not really made any difference to the race. But my cabin is closer, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and catch him up because he's marching ahead.
Now I want all of my roof boards and my floorboards and all of my logs right next to my hands because it's going to play a very vital part in winning this race.
While I decided to take the lovely, neat, organised approach, here's Ben's. Looks like a bomb's gone off.
I've even gone as far as preparing all of my cutouts for above the windows and doors and sweeping up where my cabin was and Ben's still is.
So that's me, completely loaded out and ready. Obviously this is not a one-day build, it's going to be over 2, 3, probably 4. Ben's almost halfway up, but as you can see over there, he's still got a really big mess that he needs to clean up. Whereas I've got everything I need right within reaching distance, so time will tell whether that was a good move or a bad move, and whether that was a good move or that was a bad move. Let's pick this up in the morning. We're back, day 2. We are recommencing the builds, and as you can see, within an hour and a half or so, I'm catching up to him very quickly, but we have ran into a little bit of a problem. So each one of these wall logs has got a 240mm screw that goes from this log into this log, but we've ran out. So the problem being, we're at a bit of a standstill until hopefully I can get an order of some screws sent over by Screwfix Sprint. So without letting Ben get too far ahead of me, because you can probably see he's marching his roof boards in and using the opportunity to try and get caught up with materials near where he's working. So what I'm going to do while I wait, is I'm going to start putting the architraves on my windows so I'm not losing any time either, because the last thing I want is for him to beat me. Not happening. Screwfix delivery, Sprint, efficient, took just under 30 minutes. I've got to say, very impressed. No downtime, and we can carry on.
With the bag quite literally secured, I can now march on with my build and try and get ahead of Ben if I can. These are only 180mm screws, they are still long enough to go a third into the log below, and that is absolutely fine. I can steam ahead. As you'll notice, I'm probably getting pretty close to where Ben is. I can now start putting in my overhang pieces, which are the makeup of the roof, and then I can start putting in the cutout piece, which I did earlier, and then I can prepare myself ready for my roof rafters. This cutout piece quite literally ties the two side columns together, giving the building a ton more rigidity. And with that done, I can start putting on the second overhang piece, because it's got a fairly decent canopy on the front of this build. Get that screwed together, and then I can start putting in the columns, which will start to form the openings for all of the doors and all of the windows. These column pieces are actually being secured together with 100mm screws, one on each side of the log. With the top bit finally put in, I'm going to bring my infills in, and these were directly outside the cabin, remember, because I brought it all in earlier to save myself some time. You go infill, rafter, work your way along, and it should all fit because it's pre-cut. But if it doesn't fit, you can always give it a little trim down just to get it in.
So I've decided there's a bit of an advantage being slightly behind Ben, because he's discovering things that need doing before I need to do them, which means I can do them in a slightly easier way and a faster way. So the rafters that we've got, they're square cut, whereas these overhang pieces, they are plumb cut. So what Ben's got to do is he's got to go along here with the circular saw, which is already done, and he's got to finish them off with a handsaw plumb. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have them down on the deck and do them, and then put them in, and they are done, which is going to help me out massively. I don't even think he's actually ahead. It's pretty close. I've caught up with him very, very quickly. So time will tell. Let's get them rafters cut and get them up.
I'm going to use the speed square to find my roof angle, which in this case is 2 degrees. I'm going to transfer that down onto my roof rafters, which are all in a pile right in front of me, whereas Ben has had to move his ladder 2 or 3 times to get all of his cuts done. I can just zip through them all with a circular saw, get them done, get them put up, and then I can get the string line set up and make sure that they are all bang in line with each other and move on. Give that line a little twang to make sure it's nice and tight, because you don't want a saggy string line, do you? Here is my most confused face, as Ben has stopped what he's doing and has a pretty confused look on his. So I took a little stroll over there, and it turns out that his side wall logs are sitting higher than his rafters, and that is a problem. How we're going to solve that? We're going to set the table saw up, we're going to rip down some pieces and put them underneath the rafters to raise the rafters to match the side wall height. We're then going to measure the width of these, get them chopped down with the chop saw, best tool for the job, and then we're going to put them in. Have a look, even relatively grain matched. Job done.
With that problem solved, I can actually go back to doing my roof rafters now that he can get on. This is a prime example of why you should be subscribed, because problems like this come up all the time on cabin kits from any supplier. And to save yourself having to pay a carpenter to come out and solve that problem just by subscribing, I can help you solve things like that. So make sure you have subscribed. Let's get them rafters on.
We pull the rafters to the string line and then we screw in the infill pieces, and that is the roof rafters complete.
That is pretty much us for the day. I've got my rafters in, and Ben is halfway through his roof boards over there, and he's also got his floor insulation done. We're all packed away, we're ready to go, and that is the end of day 2, so let's jump in to day 3. Just like magic, we're back. Day 3, Ben's already up on the roof like an eager beaver. My plan of action today: get my windows and my doors in. I'm going to do my insulation, get my floor laid, get my roof boarded, and get it framed, ready for membrane, insulation, OSB, and the rubber. I don't think he's winning by any means. I don't think I'm winning by any means. It is close though. Let's go and get some windows and doors put in.
I'm putting a bead of silicone sealant around all of these frames. I have covered the reason why in 2 videos before this one. I'm going to get the architraves unwrapped, get them laid out exactly where I want them, get them screwed in, repeat the same process for the second window, and then they can start to be put in. Windows in, these are secured with a screw each side, and then I can move on to my door frame. Same process, silicone sealant around the frame, architraves on, cut the 2 legs off at the front so it doesn't touch the floor, and in it goes. Moving on, a quick tidy up of the inside because there's leads everywhere, and I can move on to cutting down my 25mm PIR insulation for the floor and fitting them in between each one of the bearers. Also had to cut down all of the small little pieces, get all them put in so that it's another task completely ticked off the list, and I can start laying my floorboards. These are 19mm floorboards. They went in really lovely, and I nailed all of them down with the Fisher FG90W nail gun, I believe. What I like to do is leave all of my nailing till last. I'll put a little pencil mark at the front and the back of the building and then just run them in a straight line. You get a lovely straight line of nails that way. Get all of the internal architraves screwed on, and that brings the inside of the building, for me, almost 90% complete. I can start getting the door ones on, chucking the last header architrave on, and then start swinging the doors. Door furniture time. 4 screws at the front, 4 screws at the back, lock cylinder, and that is the doors complete. With the downstairs completely finished, it's roof board time. I'm using the same nails that I did for the floor here, 51mm. Clipped head nails, get all of the roof boards nailed down, and then I can start putting on my membrane, which is basically a vapor control layer. Get all that laid down, and then once that's done, I can start putting on my treated batten around the perimeter of the building. Basically this holds the insulation in, and it gives you something to fix the edge of your OSB to. With the roof completely watertight, we decided to call it a day, and what a day it has been. We have absolutely smashed through it. Still a bit early to tell, but I'm pretty sure I'm not losing.
The penultimate day has reached its conclusion, and the competitiveness between me and Ben is really starting to reach a bit of a height. He's done really well today. He's got his rubber complete. He's also got his floor to lay, his doors to put in, and his windows, his skirting, and we've both got some trims to do up there that I haven't quite done yet. On my end of things, inside, I'm pretty much 95% there, apart from them trims. I've got the insulation to put up, I've got the OSB to put up, and my rubber to put on. We are going to actually have a relatively decent finish time tomorrow, but the competitiveness is still there. So time will tell. I think it's going to be very close. Hopefully I'll beat him. So let's jump into day 4. I'll see you there. Day 4, we're back. He's already made his start. I've already made the tea. I've got insulation to go up there, and OSB, fascias, and then my rubber. There's no way he's beating me. No way. Might even take it easy for the day, eh, Ben? Let's get some insulation up.
So we've been pretty lucky with the British weather, not raining, which makes a change. But I put all of the insulation inside the building last night just in case there was a downpour. The insulation we're using is 25mm thick, same as the floor. A lot of people are going to say, well, why don't you use thicker? It's not thick enough. If you go any thicker on the external of the roof, you'll go over the 2.5 metre permitted development height. And this is a building to be used in the warmer months of the year for relatives to see their family members. I'm going to stagger the insulation on the roof. You don't have to, but I like to just so you don't get a continuous joint in the insulation. I'm going to cut all of the infills, get that in, and then I can start putting on the OSB for the roof. Now I'm nailing this down with 51mm nails, again the same as the floor and the same as the roof board. Any longer on the nails you'll come through, any shorter on the nails you won't get a sufficient bite. So 51mm nails, that does the job. Staggering the OSB, and I'm going to get all that trimmed down with a recent tool acquisition of ours, which is the Milwaukee M18 Fuel plunge saw. Brilliant bit of kit, wish I'd have bought it sooner. Prevents human error where you get waves in your cuts, keeps everything nice and straight. A final trim off of the roof. This is 2 rails put together, again perfectly straight, and I love perfectly straight. Get the last little bit of the roof trimmed off and I'm ready for my fascia boards. And then I can start putting on my batten upside so that I've got purchase for the first part of my 2-part gutter trim. This comes supplied with the rubber roofing kit if you're thinking of building one yourself. This will come with the kit that you buy. This basically is for the rubber to sail over, and then your second part of your gutter trim gets nailed onto that. Quick trim off of the fascias at the front, and then we are ready for our rubber. Up goes the rubber, then the glue, then the brush, and finally the roller. I'm now laying out my rubber ready for the glue up. You won't see this, but off camera we had a tea break for about 15-20 minutes while the rubber relaxed. I got the deck adhesive put down. The Americans are probably going to say that there's a lot of things wrong with this and that it should be a contact adhesive. This is just the way it's done in the UK. With the rubber glued down, I brushed out all of the air bubbles, which you're supposed to do. I then did the 2-part contact adhesive on the back edge and started nailing on my PVC trims, ready to cut all of the excess off and start putting on my joining trims. Ben is very, very close to finish, and I am getting a little bit worried, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to march on. With my rubber roof trims finished and the joining pieces finished, I got the back edge done, all trimmed up, all ready, and that is me complete, aside from these little trims that I had to do that I mentioned earlier. Door shut, lock it up, I am finished. The real question though is Ben. I'm going to leaf blower the front of this, and then you're about to find out.
As much as it pains me to say it, I've had to concede it to him by about half an hour, which is fine because I've been pretty relaxed, laid back, taking my time, getting all the details right, and it's been going hell for leather. So that's fine, but it doesn't matter to me. I like to take it slow when I do my work so I can, as I said, get it all nice and get it all perfect for the customer. And it's why it makes us one of the best fitting teams in the UK. So 2 great cabins, both complete in Leeds. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more of this, give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And it's now 2-0 in it, I suppose. I'll see you next time. What are you doing?